So the reason why the industry doesn't test for it is because, one, the testing is hard and it's not wildly accurate. Most places will test. If you have an outbreak, they will swab it. But if you don't have an active outbreak, a lot of places won't even test you.
Within 6 months of starting a career in porn, she got herpes on her privates? All because the industry doesn't test for that because the test is too difficult or inconclusive? This is so incredibly unacceptable. The good old whatever podcast. What is it that makes us watch and invest part of our day in these group conversational train wrecks? I mean, I only watch clips of the show and I can't look away, but some people watch live for hours and even donate hundreds of dollars just to have their message read via text-to-speech on the show.
I mean, I'm clearly running my channel wrong.
We gotta start doing live streams and have a chat so we can be like Elisa Jordana, and I can take your money in exchange for getting stuffed in the rearatory by your insults. It'll be fun, they said. The Whatever Podcast's young Red Pill Bro host, Brian, as well as the other potential Patrick Bateman relatives, combined with the only hose models that guest on the show, both have equal reasons for being the absolute cringiest mofos on the internet. I mean, there are times I watch these clips and I can't believe just how absolutely brainless some of these people are. For starters, these are some of the most short-sighted females I've ever seen. Some rage quit, some troll, and some drive hundreds of miles to be there just to sit on the podcast silently for hours and never say anything.
Do you speak sign language?
And the host of the show, Brian, is what I like to call a red snowflake. He gets offended and angry quicker than you can whip a cheese.
Wait, what?
I don't really know what I just said means, but that doesn't change the fact that Brian's anger levels on the podcast are embarrassing. He's one of those alpha betas that gets red-faced and can't blink when his cool's blown. He just can't take the heat and seriously needs to chill. He's a giant no-fun zone sometimes.
I have an agent. Nick is my agent. He greets you on my behalf. I am busy.
On your behalf.
Well, and also...
Bro, yo, I don't need... Hold on, check yourself. I don't need the fucking attitude. It's been all fucking night with you.
Oh
Relax. No, you've come in with a very nasty attitude.
You have been like this from
No,
since
I haven't.
The very moment.
No, I haven't. You've been very fucking nasty.
No, I
Yes,
really
you have.
not.
Yes, you have.
No, I think you're just hypersensitive.
The bottom line is, I watch Whatever Podcast clips and I can't look away, regardless of the fact that I rarely agree with any of the people at the table enough to vote for them in any kind of election, except maybe a wet t-shirt contest. Sometimes. And while I come across a lot of clips of the Whatever Podcast that make my head spin, today I found a clip of the show that absolutely blew my mind. And it should serve as a giant PSA that might make you reconsider getting into a certain line of work. Let's roll the clip.
Like, you know, obviously I do have sex for work, so there's a lot more that goes into it. It's not just some like random one night stand hookup, or, you know, we get tested, we have like extensive boundary
There's
and
a
consent
script.
talks. Yeah, like there's like a whole thing to it, right? So if I'm gonna have have sex with someone in my personal life, they also need to, for my safety, the safety of my coworkers, and for them as well, have those same standards of testing. And on top of that, I do have herpes, and that's something that I obviously want to tell someone ahead of time before doing anything sexual with them. I want them to have all of the knowledge and have
Downstairs?
Huh?
Downstairs?
Both, yes.
This Whatever Podcast guest is a sex worker in the porn industry, and she's talking about how she feels STD testing is necessary for both her job and the intimate encounters in her personal life. She feels like getting tested is the best way to keep her and others safe, and she's absolutely right. Especially considering that she's just admitted to having herpes not only on her mouth, but also downstairs. Now, I appreciate her willingness to be honest and submit to testing, but I didn't know you can legally get into porn if you have STDs like herpes downstairs, but apparently there's a lot about the industry I didn't know.
Okay. Have you told the guy who you've been dating for 4 months?
Mm-hmm.
He knows?
Yeah. But like that's the thing. I want those people to be able to know, have the
All right.
information about herpes, and be able to make an informed decision on what, if they would like to or not. Because
Can I ask you a question? Do you think you got it on set?
well, I know for a fact that like I said earlier, I got cold sores, HSV1, on my lips and stuff from
when you were, like,
chapstick.
younger
Like when
or
I was a little,
something.
I was
Yeah,
in
yeah.
like kindergarten. I do think I got it on my vagina because of the porn industry, because of how little it's talked about.
Sure.
You know, because we don't test for it, but people don't tell you that, you know, and they don't say, hey, I have herpes, I don't have an active outbreak, we're shooting this scene. Your agents don't tell you, directors don't tell you. And when you're young and inexperienced and you don't know the right questions to ask, you don't know. And for me personally, I thought I had just had a rip or a cut or something, and a director actually looked and was like, oh, you have a herpes outbreak. And I had no idea.
She makes the claim that she got herpes on her mouth when she was younger, presumably by sharing chapstick. This would likely be a herpes virus, but this would be considered a less bothersome type called HSV-1. This is what we call cold sores. And worldwide, 67% of people have this virus according to WebMD. This is contagious, but shouldn't be confused with canker sores on the mouth, which are not contagious. The guest also goes on to claim that she believes she got the genital herpes from working in the adult entertainment industry. Now, it's important to note that the genital herpes she's referring to is likely a different type known as HSV-2, and only 13% of the world have that. It is possible to get HSV-1 downstairs as well, but this is much less common. Either form of the virus transmits a lot better from person to person when there's an active outbreak. Active outbreaks are normally visually seen as blisters, sores, or breaks in the region of the infection. Herpes is treatable, but not curable, and condoms are not a foolproof option here either. But what really gets me here is how this woman claims herpes isn't talked about in the industry outside of a see nothing, say nothing policy. I mean, she claims they don't test for it, and they don't inform those they work with that they have it. Now, call me old-fashioned, but I was under the impression that people have to disclose known potential STD risks to sexual partners. The idea that this person was on a set and a director noticed she had a herpes outbreak when this woman didn't even know she had an STD is shocking. I thought this industry would test before every shoot to keep everyone safe, but boy, am I naive.
Can you still be in the industry if you have like...
So, yes. So they don't test. So the reason why they don't test...
It's not even that, like, even if you don't test, but like you said a director saw, and like, so it's not just you were not disclosing, they know. Do you disclose to the people you shoot with that...
it's not really talked about, but
You don't disclose?
You don't tell them?
It's like... See, I know. It's like a really weird thing, right?
Weird? No, that's criminal.
I don't think that's criminal. It's something
it
that
is
definitely
literally
is.
criminal.
No, I
yes,
think
it's criminal.
something that-
How on earth can it not be criminal to hide the fact that you have an STD from a sexual partner, especially in a professional environment? More importantly, is it illegal?
Like, you accept when you get in the industry, though, like, you know that people are going to
True.
have
So-
STDs.
Oh, I get it. So you're saying that they're taking that, like, they already know when they get into it. So
But
that's
no,
kind
no,
of
I,
true.
it's not. I still think that
Even
like
if-
people have a responsibility to make people aware when they have an active outbreak. Like, I had a scene with a performer, and they canceled same day because they had an active outbreak, and like, no harm, no foul, and I work with
And
them
that
again
happens all the
when
time.
the outbreak was
I mean-
gone.
Now, you may have missed what was just said there because the ladies on the left of the panel couldn't shut up for 5 seconds, but the blonde girl, Molly, that was just talking, just said she canceled a shoot with a coworker on set because they had an outbreak of herpes, which she described as no harm, no foul, and continued to work with the individual when they didn't have an outbreak.
Don't worry, I'm not contagious.
Which to me is completely insane and a surefire way to spread STDs further, as the industry Molly's in notoriously films without the use of protection. How is this legal and how is this okay?
Honestly, it's kind of like amazing to me though that there are people in the industry like shouldn't you just be excised of
Like
the
done.
industry if you have like if you have HIV, right? You're done, right?
Right, okay.
Shouldn't it be the same with herpes?
Well,
I
so,
don't think so.
with
I mean,
herpes,
it's not as bad.
It would
I guess,
destroy the
but-
industry. That's why they don't do it. They would have no
well,
job.
kind of. So with herpes, it's not always sexually transmitted. Like I had said with the thing about the chapstick, I had that since I was a child, and that had nothing to
That's
do with
irrelevant
sex
though.
at all.
But if
well,
you're
but let me
if your
finish.
work
Let me finish.
if your work is sex, then
Right, but let me finish. So, because it's not something that is inherently sexually transmitted, like,
but it is sexually transmitted.
but I got it from chapstick.
But you got
You
the other
said
one
you
from
had
sex,
it
though.
on-
Your
yeah.
type 2
Genital
herpes on your
herpes.
vagina is from sex.
Yeah, but I
Not
had
chapstick.
herpes before I ever had it
But
on
you would have
my
never
genitals.
gotten it to get on your
Yo,
genitals
this
from
is
your
some
lips
hamster
to your
wheel
genitals.
And that
logic.
totally could have happened.
You can't reach down there.
As we've already covered, you can get both forms of herpes downstairs, but HSV-1 is much less common in that area. But if she has HSV-2, it's almost certainly from intimate activity and not from chapstick in kindergarten. Regardless, she's got it, she's in porn, and she doesn't feel like telling others is that big of a deal. That's called fucking terrifying.
Actually, that totally could have
What
happened.
about having unprotected sex
No.
with
Wait,
a
so you're
alien
saying-
who has
but
herpes?
You're saying you
Hold
can
on.
give yourself type 2 herpes on your vagina from your mouth?
No, but you
No, no,
can give
okay,
yourself
but
HSV-1 on your genitals.
Is the argument that you're saying because there are other vectors with which you can get herpes, because of that, it's not as...
No. So the reason why the industry doesn't test for it is because when they were deciding whether or not they were going to test for HSV, one, the testing is hard and it's not wildly accurate. Most places will test. If you have an outbreak, they will swab it. But if you don't have an active outbreak, a lot of places won't even test you.
But you're telling me that you confirmed, I don't know, did you take a test?
No.
But you know you have it?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's pretty, like, the outbreak, whatever. You know you have it. Molly says that she was about to do a scene with a guy who knows he has it, who had an outbreak, so he canceled the scene. I suppose that's nice of him. It's shocking to me that you would continue working in the adult industry, risking other men and women. But so when did you became, you got herpes, how far into the industry? Your first year in?
Yeah.
First month?
No, I think...
First couple months?
Yeah, I started right before COVID, though. So it was like I started in January, and then COVID happened in March. And then I would say I found out maybe around July or August.
So in the 6-month period after starting adult work, you got genital herpes?
Yes.
Within 6 months of starting a career in porn, she got herpes on her privates? All because the industry doesn't test for that because the test is too difficult or inconclusive, but also we don't talk about that with newbies unless they catch it and, well, then they're in the secret club.
They're a part of this secret club my dad used to belong to.
But until then, see nothing, say nothing, spread everything. This is so incredibly unacceptable. It sounds like this woman wasn't even aware of how the whole STD thing is handled when she got into the business, and by the time she found out, she was already infected. The people that did this to her are clearly awful people and they should be locked up. If you have an STD and have unprotected sex with someone before informing them that you have an STD, you should be in prison. It's disgusting, but also incredibly naive on the girl's part. She is an adult. Adults pick the questions to ask, and as an adult, when you don't ask the right ones for whatever reason, you suffer the consequences. I mean, this happens in my career too, so be careful with contracts and get everything in writing. Don't assume anything is understood. If it's not on the white where you write, then it isn't your right. Words mean nothing. It's not a game. It's for life. And by the sounds of it, she's doing her part to carry on the little silent tradition herself. So I guess if you can't beat them off, join them so that you can.
And you've continued working for another period of 3.5 years, right? You said you've been working total 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so it's just in the industry, if you have a confirmed case, that doesn't bar you from shooting?
It's people don't shoot when they have active outbreaks.
Yeah? How'd you get it then? I'd hazard a guess to say it was a different kind of chapstick.
But like I was saying, the reason why they didn't add in HSV testing is because the tests aren't necessarily accurate, and if they did that, they would have to separate.
Don't worry
Let me finish.
But they would have said that. Hold on. Don't worry about the testing. You have a 100% confirmed case of herpes. You need not be tested. You have herpes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You are shooting scenes with men, women.
Yes.
Do you not have do you not have a concern about continuing to spread this disease?
Well, I would never work with an active outbreak of blister.
Okay, she might be right about the herpes test being a bit unreliable, but Brian is more right. Who cares? You know you have herpes, and you don't tell intimate partners beforehand because money is all that matters, honey. And that shit-eating smirk on your face is talking a whole lot of bullshit. The CDC states that even if you have no symptoms, you can still infect others. As a matter of fact, most of the people with genital herpes have no symptoms or very mild symptoms. But knowing you have it and continuing to put others at risk makes you a total loser of the worst kind. You know you can still pass it on. You've done enough research about it to know the tests are flawed, but you just so happen to miss the part about you being contagious regardless of symptoms.
There's that bullshit.
Darling, you and the blonde chick might want to go get a thorough checkup. I said thorough, Tom, not tough.
But before like a full-blown outbreak, there's like it's
called shedding.
Yeah, you're shedding before. Mm-hmm. So you could do a scene when you're shedding.
I mean,
or afterwards.
For me personally, I can tell when I'm going to get an outbreak and I just won't work, but
no, you
well, it's
you
clearly
though.
I mean, within 6 months of starting in the industry, you got it. So it's clear that the women or the men in this industry are not, like, even if you're not having sex during an active outbreak, you are
There is a very low chance that it is transmissible, yes.
She's totally aware she can give it to others. There's no saving grace here, just raw, unfiltered honesty. I mean, if you jerk it to this chick, you've got some low standards, my man. This is no man's land and possibly no man's hand, too. This is not one of the chicks you click add to cart on.
You got it within 6 months of working in the industry.
And you think that's low, and you're taking that chance to give it to other people without disclosing them? Why do you think that's right?
I never said that.
No, but you're doing it, so why are you doing it?
Because it's my fucking job, girl. I got bills to pay.
Wow, heartless.
Are you gonna pay my
So
bills?
it's just right to just give people a disease?
No, and I never said that. But
I hope they sue you.
Do you
She's
not
not giving people
but you
the
don't-
she's taking the
Wait.
active
Did she give you herpes?
precaution.
Wait,
no,
question.
I don't
Do-
have
Didn't
herpes.
you guys-
And I fucked her like twice.
I know, you guys all fucked, right?
You guys said you guys all fucked.
Wait, can you?
Raven DT
Oh, okay.
related $69. I am not a lawyer, but for the record, knowing you have an STD/STI and not informing a partner about it and then proceeding to have sex with them anyway is considered sexual battery. Please see California Penal Code section 243.4a.
Thank you,
So
Raven.
congratulations, you've committed sexual battery, and you're not going to convince anybody else that it's your. Oh, but according to me, but when I do it, no, it's wrong. Either way.
Never said that it was right.
Wait, do you not disclose to, let's say you're not having an outbreak, do you tell the people that you're working with that you have herpes? You say,
If they ask, for sure. But it's...
you don't say?
Nobody ever
That's what
asks.
disclosing means. Disclosing means you don't have to ask. It means you
ask.
disclose the information without the other party asking.
Butler donated $69. There are multiple court cases involving $1 million settlements for genital herpes transmissions without disclosure. 70% of cases spread through asymptomatic viral shedding, no symptoms. A Western blot test is very accurate. Layla and Molly take the test.
I've taken the herpes test and I don't have herpes, so
Same as well.
I took it right out. I got out of porn, so.
Well, when was
Molly,
your last
do you
shoot?
have-
No, I don't have
When I got out of
herpes.
porn,
But
I took my test, and that was like.
Bond donated $69.
Layla is the lady on the far right. If you've watched any top clip from whatever podcast, you may remember her as the girl that's always hitting on Brian. I'm actually super happy to hear that she got out of the industry and thankfully did so before she ended up in the shoes that Molly's wearing. Molly, sitting to Layla's right, clearly seems to be rethinking her life a little. If she isn't, then she's a fool too for willingly sleeping with people that have STDs. She may pretend like it's not a big deal, but the look on her face tells a different story. The fact is, in most places, it is illegal to purposely transmit STDs, and you don't get to decide which STDs are worth telling someone about when it comes to having sex with them. If that isn't a universal law, it should be. I get that you're embarrassed, and I get that you didn't want herpes, but that gives you no right to extend membership into that super secret club to others. When you do, you're creating victims, not just paying bills. You're paying bills with the lives of others. According to Levine and Blitt, if you're convicted of transmitting an STI or STD, fines can go up to $5,000 in states like New York, but laws and punishments vary depending on the state you're in. In some states, you can get up to a year more of prison time and even end up on the sex offenders registry, which I'm all for. All these people who knowingly spread diseases without disclosing the fact that they have STDs should be prosecuted and held accountable. STDs are no joke. Herpes may seem like a relatively mild disease, but it can carry with it complications such as swelling of the brain and leave you with other organ infections. And if a mother passes it to her baby during birth, it can be fatal to the infant. As a matter of fact, it's such an issue for birthing mothers that doctors often normally opt to perform a C-section to deliver babies whose mothers are infected and symptomatic. So let this be a lesson to you. Be very selective about who you sleep with and how, and also probably don't do porn. That's my takeaway here. How many people have these two girls been with in the industry who are only finding out now via a podcast that they might want to go get checked up? And how many others in the industry are just like these two? I don't know, but I certainly wouldn't want to find out the hard way. Pardon the pun. I'm Mr. Black, and this is Cringe Against Humanity.